You tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need. We give you outspoken thoughts about all the headlines. We talk baseball, football, hockey, and more. No matter the topic, we cover it. Get ready for the show and keep it outspoken. Keep it outspoken. We keep it outspoken only on the Sportscast. Tune into the Sportscast with Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Give you all the sports news you need.
Hey guys, welcome in to the Outspoken Sportscast. It's your host Brian and Jeff on the line. We got your weekend edition here of episode number 89 as we talk about a couple different things here. The main spotlight of the week this week, Jeff, is Urban Meyer is gone already. What a garbage dumpster fire this was. Oh man, what a dumpster fire this was. We're gonna go through his timeline here, and it's funny because a lot of coaches that come from college to the NFL, they don't succeed. They don't do too well. And this is just another one of those things. But Urban Meyer was a lot of behind the scenes issues and his treatment of players other than really the play of Jacksonville on the field that kind of led him down this way. But excuse me. Let's jump into the timeline here real quick of everything that's transpired. His first year, Urban Meyer. Jeff, I know you don't do a whole lot of college football, but in wherever Urban Meyer went and with college, they were successful. They succeeded. They won a championship, or came pretty close. So they were always in the hunt. And then he seemed to when he kind of figured out he was kind of done there, he would. I don't want to say fake an illness, but that's why he would bounce. He'd be like, I'm going to retire due to health issues. And then next year he's on a different team. So it's just kind of interesting. But Urban Meyer was hired on January 14th by the Jacksonville Jaguars. It kind of seemed like a good fit that he got to come in. They had the number one draft pick. We all knew they were drafting Trevor Lawrence. That's the perfect situation. You get to come in with supposed to be a star quarterback. And that's just kind of in my opinion, a great way to start off a franchise. Just a little under a month later, Jeff, on February 12th, an assistant resigns of bullying allegations and racist allegations against Urban Meyer. So that's a red flag. And let me be clearly honest about how I feel about Urban Meyer. And this is going back before the NFL. He's not a good person, Jeff. He's just not. He's had scandal after scandal. He preaches about being a family man and a guy of high morals and does the opposite of that. May 20th, the Jags signed Tim Tebow. This is more, I don't know if it was a stunt that was just all over the news. August 31st, Mayer says vaccination statuses were considered on roster cuts. Which is another one that's like, maybe it was, but you can't say that. You can't come out and say that publicly. Like, that's the reason you cut a player. You just can't do that.
Yeah.
It's just you just can't. October 4th, Meyer apologizes for the viral video of him. We talked about this in the episode.
Ooh, that was a big one.
That was a huge one. You got a guy that has been on a losing streak in the NFL. His NFL has started off bad. I mean, no one expected Jacksonville to come in and kill it anyways, but instead of flying home the team, he decides to, again, his excuse was spend time with family, but he's on a video rubbing on a random woman that's not his wife in a bar. That just doesn't seem like quality family time to me, Jeff. But December 11th, reports surfaced that Meyer called assistants losers, that he said he had a better coaching staff with Bowling Green in college than when he first started out than they had there. December 13th, the owner, Khan, says he won't rush the decision on Meyer. And then the final straw, Jeff, was the kicker, Josh Lambo, says Meyer kicked him during practices and told him to make his ducking kicks. Ducking kicks, but, we all know what he was using there. December 16th, Urban Meyer was fired and let go. That just came out today. They do not plan on paying Urban Meyer the rest of his contract because he was let go because of his own actions, right? Mm-hmm. My goodness, Jeff, a lot has happened in the first 13 games in offseason that he had with Jacksonville. If you want a fast track on how to lose a job, Urban Meyer's written the handbook. You just completely look like a fool the whole time you're there, and you'll find a way out. It's insane to me. He's treating these players like college. That was the biggest thing and you can't do that. This isn't college football. You can't treat them a certain way. Players are not. You're going to lose a locker room. Players aren't going to listen to you. You cannot physically kick, touch, punch, push, whatever a player.
Yeah,
that should be common sense. Number one, that should not happen, and it shouldn't happen in the NFL. It shouldn't happen in any workplace environment ever. But kicking his kicker, the kicker Lambo came out and said his reaction was, don't you ever kick me again. And he says Urban Meyer's response was, I'm the football coach. I'll do, I can kick you whenever I want. What that complete dumpster fire. I'm glad they fired him. I thought he was gonna be one and done after all these situations keep happening. I go, this guy's one and done. I think they'll give him the full year to kind of see what to give him the full year and just kind of wash their hands. But after that, after the kicking of the kicker, then the owner's hands are tied. He had to just drop the ball and get him out of there.
This is just an absolute mess. The owner, I think, was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because of the reputation, not the reputation, but the name. I guess it's like the name recognition of Urban Meyer. And he is recognized. He is in that, as crazy as it sounds, he is in that category, along with some of the top coaches in college football. So when you hear it, it's kind of like he's kind of a big deal. He coached Tim Tebow. They won a lot under him. And then, he did have a little bit of success even after Tim Tebow that I can remember. And maybe not winning championships, but they were winning games, that's for sure. Were under him. So the reason you can't do this same kind of issue or coach the same kind of way in the NFL is because it's just these guys are adults. They're making millions of dollars. They're going to require a bit more respect versus college. College, I think they're looking to get to that place, but they're not there yet. And they'll do anything to get to the NFL because getting to the NFL is extremely hard. So it's just a big mess. It really, I think what stood out and what really got people, because I didn't know a lot about the stuff prior to the video leak. And I think a lot of people didn't know stuff prior to the video leak. And so that's kind of when everybody was paying attention at that point. We're like, what's going on with this guy? Because this doesn't look good at all. The fact that he was abusing a player is ridiculous. And I think, in terms of Mr. Khan himself, the owner, I think that's kind of what maybe straw that broke the camel's back, because you're abusing employees of his, so to speak. So, and they are employees. The players are employees, as well as Urban Meyer, and so you're abusing Mr. Khan's employees, and I don't think he's gonna put up with that too much. So ultimately, I think that's kind of what ended his tenure there. But the question I got to ask though, and this is an interesting question: what happens if this team was winning? Would we be having the same conversation?
Right. Winning covers up a lot of stuff.
It does. It does.
I think it kind of all ties them together. That's a really good question. I didn't even think about that, Jeff. That's a great point. And because we all know winning, and bringing in money and everything covers up a lot of issues. And it's those issues tend to come out when you start losing. Like I said, our expectations weren't great for Jacksonville. I thought Urban Meyer could turn it around. I've never thought he was a good guy morally and stuff like that. But as far as coaching, from his college career, you said, okay, this guy knows how to run a team. He knows how to get players to play for him. He's set up with supposedly what was rumored to be the next Peyton Manning in Lawrence. And look, Lawrence has looked bad this year. And look, he's a rookie. They don't have an offensive line.
I want to see how they look in this next game. I wonder if all of a sudden things start clicking around and it's like, okay, maybe that was the problem. Maybe that was the problem.
Because when I start thinking about it this way, Jeff, when you go to work every day, you want to have fun, right? It could be that you may not like your job. Your job may be physical, your job may be boring, but you want to get along with the people there. You want to be able to have a good time. You're still going to get work done, but if just think about this, if you're a football player who's getting beat up every day, right? You're getting beat up. You're every game you're getting physically beat up. You're sore. You're exhausted, and not only all that, you're working now all the stuff that goes into being a football player, and then you got to come to work and you hate your coach who's abusing players, who's talking down to players like they're in college, who is calling coaching staff losers and idiots, and you're making a bad environment. You're not going to want to play for this guy. You're not going to want to go and put in that extra effort. So I think that has a lot to do with it. And in any workplace environment, but especially in the NFL, when this job is already a job that you got to think is pretty physically demanding, as you may know. But yeah, it's just that workplace environment there was toxic, and it didn't. I mean, it derailed real fast there in Jacksonville for Urban Meyer.
Yeah, it definitely did, and it's going to be very exciting to see this team bounce back from this absolute train wreck. I feel bad for some of the players. I definitely feel bad for any of the players abused in the situation. It's uncalled for, absolutely ridiculous, and he deserved to get fired for that for sure. You don't abuse players at all. You can yell at them. You can do that. The one thing I'll say this much in comparison, not to say that they're the same, but a lot of people say Bill Belichick's a difficult coach because he expects greatness all the time, blah, blah, blah. But he doesn't hit people.
Right.
And he can yell and cuss and scream and whatever, all he wants. But he doesn't hit people. That's the difference. And he could, Urban Meyer could be a tough coach, but you cannot kick people. You cannot. You can yell at them all you want. You can put them down and stuff, but because that's part of coaching. But and I get that,
right. And you also, Jeff, have to have a background to back this up, right? Like,
right.
First year in the NFL, earn respect. Bill Belichick will go down as probably the best coach in the NFL history. He has those coats on the wall where he can, you don't like my program, you think my program's too tough. I'm not, I may be tough on you, but look what me being tough on you gets you. It gets you Super Bowls. It gets you winning a lot. And
Exactly.
he has that skins. Coming in the year first one thinking you're a big dog on campus isn't going to work out real well. But like I said, I got yelled at in football when I played football in school. Yelling, no problem. When you physically hit somebody, kick somebody, that's when you cross that line. Period.
Exactly.
Discussion.
Yeah.
And
I just want to see this team thrive after this. Hopefully they can. I don't know who are they playing this coming week.
I'll have to look it up.
I'm going to be curious because I want to see how Trevor Lawrence responds to this. I want to see how this team overall responds to this. So if they can squeak out a win this coming week, would be awesome. Absolutely awesome. So,
well, they play the Houston Texans, so definitely
okay.
could. And then they play.
They could definitely sneak out a win there.
So,
yeah, I could definitely see them sneak out a win, and that would be awesome. That would completely fire up that team. And say this is a new era. This is a new time and everything else. And I think Trevor Lawrence made a couple of comments regarding Urban Meyer and the matter there, and I think he said that he thinks the team will bounce back and do better because of this. So you can't argue with that. So it's just this team is. I think it was the right move to fire him. And then obviously they'll be in line for searching for a coach, whether it be the guy who's taken over now or, the interim head coach may even be the head coach, or maybe they find somebody that's going to be hitting the market. So maybe even if the Broncos don't continue on with Vic Fangio, which I hope they do, if not, that would be a good coach to head over there and possibly try to mentor some talent and stuff like that. He's very much old school, like Bill Belichick, but he doesn't abuse people. And so, but he would definitely turn the ship around a little bit and maybe even help them defensively get better on that end and everything else. And so that would be interesting to see who they get. That'd be interesting.
There's been plenty of talks about kind of who they're looking for, different coaches on who could go there, who might go there. Cowboys offensive coordinator.
Is Mike Tomlin's contract up after this year?
No.
The
Steelers, he's not leaving Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And the Steelers,
that would be
hold
interesting.
On to coaches like no other.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see even Mike Tomlin maybe go into that situation and see what he could do with a team that struggles, that's been struggling.
Yeah, there's rumors of the Dallas Cowboys offensive coordinator,
Kellen Moore.
I forget. His name just disappeared out of my head. Kellen Moore. There's been talks of Bieniemy out of Kansas City. I mean, multiple talks about just different odds, but this is all up in the air right now, and it'll be interesting to see. Jacksonville's not been that destination that a lot of people want to go to, but with all this stuff going on, I feel so much better for Trevor Lawrence, and you got a quarterback that's come in with high expectations. First round draft pick. They're projected to be the next Peyton Manning. That's some big shoes to fill, right?
Huge.
And you come in your first year on a team that's underdeveloped. They don't have a lot of players that are capable of producing great, a lot of wins. And then not only that, you're dealing with the head coach making headlines every other week, every month. You're dealing with distractions off the field. You're not really having the opportunity to really thrive out there. So I'm hoping this will turn it around for him. And like I said, this could actually get his team playing better, and we could see them knock off a couple wins here. Now, if you're a Jacksonville Jaguar fan, you want to probably lose out so you can get that number one pick again and see where you can go with that. But there's plenty of opportunities, though, for them to start looking at a head coach. And I would like them to get an offensive-minded head coach and a young head coach and take him in there that can relate with Trevor Lawrence, who can bring in their offs. I would like to see Kellen Moore go there. I think that would be a great fit for
Yeah,
them.
I think it would.
Um,
Because I mean, at that point, Kellen Moore would have a clean slate. He would have a quarterback that's fresh, like no has not even been touched, and he can mold that quarterback play
Right.
into what he wants and stuff. So that would be pretty wise decision.
And that's the number one. That's the number one drag to Jacksonville. That Trevor Lawrence is the
oh yeah,
hey, I want to go there because they got Trevor Lawrence, and
Right.
I feel like I can make him be great. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting when I heard the news the other day. I woke up and was like, "Holy crap!" I'm glad they did it. I thought he was going to be one and done after all these distractions, and I believe that was the right move there. All right, Jeff, let's jump into the headlines, brother.
All right.
All right, Jeff. Well, as we get close to the end of the season, we got 4 games left. The AFC and the NFC. Well, the AFC had 2 or 3 teams tied for the number 1 spot. Kansas City beating out the Chargers in a game last on Thursday. They beat out the Chargers. They're actually number 1 seed right now until the other teams play. But I wanted to go through each team, kind of see who we think and why we think they're going to get the number 1 seed. And we'll start off with the Patriots play tonight. Jeff, it's going to be a good game, or they play today at 3:30, I believe. And they play the Colts. That'll be a really good game. They play the Colts, the Bills, the Jaguars, and the Dolphins. Those are the 4 teams they got left. You got the Chiefs, who are now 10-4. They just beat the Chargers. They have the Steelers, the Bengals, and the Broncos. That's kind of a tough slate there for them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Tennessee at 9-4. They have Pittsburgh this week. They got the 49ers, the Dolphins, and the Texans. So when we look at those 3 teams that are tied for first place, with those with who they got left, we just went through who they have left. Go ahead and who do you think? Who do you think comes out with the number 1 seed, and why? Is it the remaining schedule? Do you think someone's playing better right now than anybody else in the AFC? Why do you think out of those 3 teams, who could finish the number 1 seed in the AFC?
Number 1 seed in the AFC based on schedule. It's got to go with the Pats. The Colts. I mean, come on. They haven't been the same since their quarterback retired prematurely. The Bills have been up and down this roller coaster all year. They have been picking it up as of late, playing a little bit better, I think, a little bit. Jags, we know what's going on there. They are not going to even really compete with the Patriots on this. Dolphins are the only one out of that where I always kind of go, I don't know. Because sometimes they come out and they whoop the Patriots and you're just going, what, how? They're kind of always a thorn in their side. They do stick around and make a tight game sometimes. Again, I'm pretty sure, they're divisional foes, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, it seems like to me that's one of the only game that sticks out in terms of Patriots that I'm like, I don't know, because Dolphins always somehow they'll do something and the Patriots will lose and you'll scratch your head going, what? So that's the only one out of that. I don't think that will happen. I do think the Patriots are a better team and they will probably take down the Dolphins, but that's the one where I'm kind of iffy on that game. Chiefs going and plays the Chargers. I think the Chiefs may beat. Did they already played the Chargers?
Yeah, they played on Thursday. I made this on Wednesday. They did beat the Chargers. It did go to overtime. It was a really good game.
It did. It was competitive.
The Chargers should have won, but
yeah. Steelers. I think that when they play the Steelers, I think that that's going to be tough. Steelers have a good defense. I think the Chiefs are going to have a bit of a struggle here. Bengals are playing better. as of late. Steelers defense is really good, so they're gonna have to play a really close game there. I think the Chiefs could pull it out if they get the ball towards the end of the game. Bengals, that's another one. I don't know if they'll. I mean, that's going to be a tight game. And the Broncos, I think the Broncos are poised to beat this team. They want to badly. The last game was just it was field goal city for the Chiefs. All right, let's just say what it is. They were kicking field goals pretty much the rest of the game. They made one touchdown in that game. So I think the Broncos, if they stick to a competitive run game, and their run game stays pat, I think the Broncos could possibly, and then obviously make the right throws at the right times. I think the Broncos could have won. They could have won the game last time. There was a couple of mistakes on special teams, just bonehead decisions, guys running into their own guy, that kind of thing. Didn't fair catch the ball. There was a couple of reasons why the Broncos lost that game against the Chiefs, and I think the Broncos could have won the game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't play very well. Defensively, they're stacked, but offensively, they're not as good as they seem. Now they've been playing good as of late, but that's gonna be a tricky schedule. Steelers especially, and the Broncos especially with the Chiefs. I could see them either losing or winning those games, either one. Titans again, Steelers. The defense is good. The defense is good. The offense is trash, but the defense is good. I got to go with the Pats to take this entire thing. Chiefs, I don't think will. Because I could see them somehow screwing up against the Steelers or screwing up against the Broncos because they're so close to doing that, especially with the Broncos. It seems like the Broncos are on the verge of winning a game against them, and I think this might be the game at the end of the season. And then at Titans, I think they can beat the 49ers and maybe the Dolphins and Texans, but the Steelers, I think they might have a hard time. But again, this is a weird team because they don't have Derrick Henry. So what the heck does this mean? Defense is good, but I got to go with the Pats. The Pats have an easier road. They got an easier road to get to the dance.
Now, look at these schedules, Jeff. I actually have the Colts upsetting the Patriots tonight. I think the Colts are this is basically a win. They must win this game if they want to compete for a playoff spot. I think their defense is good enough to slow down Mac Jones. I think the Colts win. Now, a couple weeks ago, if you asked me this question, I would go with the Patriots. Like, Patriots are playing really good. The Bill Belichick's got the system down. And I think they do have the easier schedule out of the other two teams. But, Jeff, I think the Chiefs they're back on track, buddy. They've been playing really well. They've won 7 straight games. They're hitting that streak. They played the Chargers, and the Chargers are a gunslinging team that took them to overtime the other night. Look, the Chargers... We have to have a talk about the Chargers head coach, Jeff. 3 times. This would drive you crazy if it was a Denver Broncos team. 4th and 1 or 4th and 2 within the 5-yard line, within the red zone. He goes for it 3 times and don't get it. They were 0-3. They kick one of those field goals, Jeff. They win the game. They don't. They decide not to. They fail on all 3 of them. They leave points behind, and they lose the game in overtime. But that's not what we're going to discuss. The Chargers should have won that game. I think the Steelers can't keep up points-wise with Chiefs. They win that one. The Bengals will give them a run for their money. And the Broncos are playing them in Kansas City, or is that Denver?
Nope, in Denver. Plays Kansas City this last game.
That might be a tough one because they don't play too well in Denver.
Nope.
They don't play too well in Denver. Maybe they win, but they don't play that great. I'm still going to give the edge to Kansas City because I don't think Teddy Bridgewater can get the job done. But so I have them winning out the rest of the year.
My only problem with that is I think a lot of people are giving Kansas City way too much credit because they go in and they play against the Raiders, right? And they destroy the Raiders, and everybody's like, they're back on track. And I'm like, the Raiders are garbage this year. They started out strong. They pulled a Raider again, as they've always done, and they lose these games. The Chiefs know, honestly, the Raiders aren't as good as they seem. And so I think that's why you saw the Chiefs. That's the second time this year the Chiefs put up high numbers against the Raiders. The second time this season. So if you take a look at some of the games outside of the Raiders, and I would even say the Chargers, their offense hasn't done jack this season. Like nothing. Like even against the Broncos, like it was not a good showing, and I wonder if they're so familiar with Oakland, they're so familiar with what Oakland does that they just took advantage of a team that is just on the verge of a rebuild, honestly. Let's just say what it is. I mean, Oakland seems like they're so close to just blowing the whole thing up. And so it's like, and then when it comes to the Chiefs, they play them all the time. They know these guys. And with the Broncos, the difference between those teams is the Broncos have a defense now. The Broncos have a secondary. The Broncos actually have weapons to shut those wide receivers down, to double up Kelsey, to do all these things that these other teams aren't doing. And then you take a look at some of the other teams that they faced, right? The Cowboys have a good defense. What did the Chiefs do with them? Nothing. Offensively, it was nothing. They weren't throwing, 5 touchdown, 4 touchdown game. None of that, dude. And so take a look at the scores of each game this season for the Chiefs, and you tell me how many times they blow out teams.
Well, let's look that up.
I'm curious.
Let's look up the Chiefs' schedule. And
let's look up that stat, and you tell me that this team is back on track. When I don't think they are, because we thought they were back on track when they whooped Oakland, and then they went up against the Cowboys and didn't even score a touchdown. Really, I think they scored 1. Then they go up against somebody else, and everybody's like, "Oh, they're back on track." And then I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then they go against the Broncos. Nope. Like it's just.
Let's see. Okay, they beat the Browns. They lost the Ravens by 1 point.
Okay,
when the Ravens were actually good. They lost to the Chargers by 6 points. They beat the Eagles by 12. They lost to the Bills by 18. Woo! They beat Washington 31-13. They lost to Titans, blew them away. That was a crazy one. They beat the Packers, but barely. That's without Aaron Rodgers. They barely beat the Giants. They beat the Cowboys by 10. They blow out the Raiders 41-14. They blow out the Raiders again 48-9.
See?
They beat the Broncos 22-9, and then they just beat a good Chargers team. Look,
so the 22-9, and I'll say this about the Denver Broncos: the 22-9, that was a pick 6, is what ended that game, and then the other one was a fumble on a punt return or a kick return that our guy supposedly was pushed into the guy who was receiving the ball. So the Chiefs got the ball at like the 10-yard line. So it's just. Those kinds of things. You look at that score and you go, "Oh, they beat the Broncos." No, they didn't.
Now
it was a lot less of a scoring game. They scored. Patrick Mahomes had a worse QBR than Teddy Bridgewater, and Teddy Bridgewater didn't even throw a touchdown in that game. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This team is not on track like everyone thinks they are, because they whooped up on the poor old Las Vegas Raiders.
I know
it's
that
ridiculous.
I know that I touched a nerve when I talk about Kansas City.
No, I don't. It's not that I touched a nerve. I don't think this team is legit. I don't think this team is going to a Super Bowl. Everyone keeps talking about the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. They started it at the beginning of the season because they went last year. There is something wrong with this team, and there is something wrong with Patrick Mahomes not firing on all cylinders when it comes to teams that are competitive. Take a look at those scores. The Packers, good defense. What did he do? Nothing.
Nothing.
Then you take a look at the Broncos. What did he do? Jack. Then you take a look at the Cowboys, good defense. What did he do? Jack. You take a look at the Ravens. What did he do? Jack. Like, that's what I'm talking about. I don't think if they go up against the Patriots, they're done. They're done.
Now look, Jeff. I didn't say the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl. No,
the media did.
I know
they wrote that. They wrote that shit before the season started.
If you go listen to my Tuesday episode, I said I'm not giving the Chiefs credit for beating up on an easy Oakland team. Not doing it. Beating the Chargers was impressive. Okay, they probably go 3-1, maybe finish out. The Steelers is a win to me. The Steelers, they're not competitive to me. I think that it's an easy win, in my opinion. The Bengals are tough. I don't know if they play that one at home or not, but that one's a tough one. The Bengals are fighting for a playoff spot. I'm hoping they do. And the Broncos are tough because of defense. Titans, I don't trust. The Titans will get Derrick Henry back, hopefully around playoff time, and maybe that might help them out. The Patriots are tough. It's between Patriots and the Chiefs, in my opinion.
Right.
I think the Chiefs win it. You think the Patriots win it.
I think the Patriots win it.
I think the Patriots. Well, I don't want to give that away.
The Patriots are the best team in the AFC by far. By far.
I want to say by
the best
far.
team.
Their offense is not all that great. It's their defense.
Dude.
Number one defense in the league.
There's no way in heck the Patriots are the Chiefs are beating the Patriots. I'm sorry. I just don't.
I'm surprised they haven't played each other this year.
I don't trust Mahomes. And I definitely think that Bill Belichick knows how to defend against Mahomes, and Mahomes will struggle.
I'll trust Mahomes over Mac Jones, a rookie.
No. I don't trust Mahomes against the defense of the Patriots.
Well, no, but you got to look at Kansas City's defense. They're top 5 in the league right now.
But I can tell you right now, I think Bill Belichick will find some way to win that game. It doesn't matter how it is. Some way he'll win that game. They won a game this year, and they did not score an offensive touchdown. Not one. He threw 3 passes, and they won a game.
No, they scored offensive touchdown.
They scored offensive touchdown. But I'm talking
that's because the Bills were horrible.
3, it doesn't matter.
Horrible.
You know how hard that would be in the NFL to go, oh, we only threw 3 times this game and won.
But it's because the Bills. I watched the game. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's still hard to do. It's still not easy.
The Bills basically knew they were running the ball all day long, and they couldn't stop them. I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? All right, Jeff,
I think there's definitely a weak link in the Chiefs armor, and I think teams are starting to expose that weak link. And it's pretty hilarious because I had a feeling this at some point it was going to happen because the media was riding high on Mahomes all the last 3 years. I mean, man, he is the next up and come in. He is gonna destroy the NFL. He's great, but I think once people started getting a hold of this, starting to learn his game a little bit more, we're starting to see him lose games. We're starting to see him look a little bit more normal. And so it's interesting.
All right, Jeff, let's go ahead and jump into the NFC. Just like the AFC, now I know the Chiefs are technically number 1 right now. There are 3 teams that line up here tied for the number 1 spot. And the number 1 spot is so important, obviously, because you get a bye week and you get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The number 2 seed used to get a bye and home field, but that number 2 seed does no longer get a bye since they added another playoff spot. So, Jeff, history has shown the number 1 seed is so important because of the things I just listed. But teams that win the Super Bowl, like 80-something% of the time, are the number 1 seed. They have that bye. They have the extra rest. They have home field advantage. That's what your team's fighting for. Basically, both in the AFC and the NFC, you almost have to win out. A lot of teams have to win out just to make playoffs. You're not going to have to win out just to make the number 1 seed. So the Packers are 10-3. They play the Ravens. They play the Browns, the Vikings, and Lions. Okay. You got Arizona. They play the Lions, the Colts, the Cowboys, and Seattle. And then you got the Bucks, who play nobody the rest of the week. They got Saints. That's a win. They got the Panthers. That's a win. They got the Jets. And they got the Panthers. That's a win. The Bucks have the easiest schedule, Jeff. If Green Bay wins out, we're the number 1 seed. We hold the tiebreaker against Arizona.
Yeah.
We hold the tiebreaker against the Bucks because we've won more conference games. So if Green Bay wins out, then they win it. They win the number 1 seed. I don't know if they looking at the games, I don't trust Baltimore. We don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to play or not. He's going to be a little bit vulnerable with that ankle. I think we beat Ravens. We're playing in Baltimore. I don't trust them. They're not a very good football team, in my opinion. The Browns, who knows? They have 28 million people on COVID restrictions right now. The third string quarterback.
Dang, that's a lot players. I didn't know there was that many players on a team.
They were supposed to play the Raiders today, but they got postponed to Monday double header. So maybe they can get some of them back because they changed the COVID protocols. But we'll see. Will Baker Mayfield be playing next week? I don't know. Even if so, I don't think the Browns win. Vikings are tough. They always play us tough. We should win that one. It's in Lambeau, and we should beat the Lions. We should win out, Jeff, but should is not relevant here because it doesn't always happen. Arizona, that the Lions are going to beat the Lions. The Colts will be a tough matchup. The Cowboys will be a tough matchup for both. This is the matchup, Jeff, that me and you have been looking for to see if the Cowboys are an actual legit contender or not. And then Seattle's tough because it's a divisional game. I haven't been a believer in Seattle all year long, but when they play division games, they're just a tougher matchup, and they play each other really good. And then you got the Bucs, like I said, who probably will win out.
Yeah.
I expect Green Bay to probably go 3-1. I expect the Bucs to probably win out, and I got the Bucs actually taking the number 1 seed, unfortunately, and probably Packers finishing number 2 or 3. But I think we finished number 2. But I got the Bucs winning because they're the schedule is just pathetic.
Yeah, the schedule is pathetic for the Bucs. I could see the Bucs winning out, and you have Panthers, give me a break. Jets, give me a break, and the Saints, give me a break. That's not even fair. It's definitely going to be an easy road for the Bucs. You could always come out with some. Maybe there might be some game. There has been some weird games this year. Let's just say that much. It's very possible that maybe they lose a game and you kind of scratch your head going, well, how'd they lose to the Panthers? Like, are you kidding me? That kind of thing, I don't know. Maybe even the Saints or something like that. I definitely don't think they'll lose to the Jets no matter what. I mean, that's a mark up of a win right there.
Tom Brady might be able to sit out and they still win that.
Yeah. That's very possible too. So it really leaves me with, I guess, Bucs number 1, Packers. I say Packers go 2, and then I think Arizona goes 3, and not by a lot. I think Packers and Arizona actually tie up, possibly. And so Packers have the tiebreakers, so Packers would actually be 2, and Arizona be 3. I could see the Packers possibly, and I don't want it, but I could see the Packers possibly losing against the Vikings. They have lost this year against the Vikings. That they play a tough game. Those are always going to be a must watch, must see kind of game. Mm-hmm. And then Arizona, I could see. I mean, it's hard to tell because I could see the Cowboy game will be a kind of a coin flip. I could see the Cowboys maybe coming out. They have been known to do that. They did it earlier this year against the Bucs. Even though they lost, they still made it a competitive game. I could see the Cowboys maybe winning that game, but closely if Dak is back, which we'll get into that. And then so I could see that, but definitely the Bucs number 1, Packers, Arizona tie for 2.
Yeah, and I was hoping the Bucs had a difficult schedule, and like we said, if Green Bay wins out and they're tied with the Bucs at the end of the season, the Packers will win the number 1 seed, and that's very important, as we just pointed out there a second ago. All right, Jeff. Well, this is something you wanted to talk about here. The Cowboys, they've been winning games, but they haven't looked sharp. This defense has looked pretty good, but their offense has been struggling. It brings the question, what is going on with Dak Prescott? Last week when they played Washington, 18 points in the first quarter, 18-0. I said, I'm going to go take a nap. This is boring. All the games that were on were horrible. I wake up and every game that I could watch, I was like, man, they all are horrible today. I'm going to go to sleep. I wake up and they won 27-20. I'm going, wow, that was a lot closer than expected. And the answer I got from Dallas Cowboy fans themselves, a lot of them was, this is on Dak. Dak was looking horrible. Dak was throwing picks. Dak was off here. And if you watched him the beginning of the season and watched him the last couple games, you could tell a big difference. You can tell he's just missing these throws that he usually wouldn't. He's overthrowing people, underthrowing people. He's off target, throwing behind. Yeah. Something's going on with Dak Prescott. I don't know if it's the injuries that are affecting him. I don't know what it is. I have his last couple games here. His last game against Washington, he only completed 56% of his passes. That's not good. The game before, the last 3 games, he's been in the mid-60s, 65, 65, and 68. The beginning of the season, Jeff, he was in the 70s and 80s. He threw 2 interceptions against Washington. He's thrown in the last 3 games, he's thrown 4 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. He's just not looking very good. I don't know what it is, Jeff. Do you have sorry. I forgot. I listened to 105.3 The Fan the other day. They actually talked about a blueprint on how to upset Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott actually, when you blitz Dak Prescott, he does really good.
Mhm.
When you don't blitz Dak Prescott and you leave 2 high safeties and you leave a zone coverage,
Which is exactly what defense is starting to do now,
yeah,
by the way.
he struggles. He struggles. That's what they did. That's what Tampa Bay did to Aaron Rodgers last year. 2 high safeties, and then they do blitz a lot too. But Dak Prescott, when you blitz him, he is actually numbers wise and percentages wise top quarterback, top 3 in the league on that when it comes to blitzing. But when you don't blitz him, you force him to read coverage and make him drive down the field with 12 play drives, especially if you can't get that rushing game going. He's not looking too good so far. And right now, Jeff, if you give me the way Dak Prescott is playing football now, the Cowboys will be one and done in the playoffs.
Yeah. I can't. Here's the deal. Okay. I cannot. They won the game. And you know what I did? I always, anytime the Cowboys lose, win, I'm curious to see how their fan base reacts to it. So there's a couple of channels I frequent on YouTube to kind of see the reaction. And a lot of what I saw was from the realistic fans. There's one that's completely just drinking Kool-Aid all day long. But the realistic fans were not happy in the game. They won the game and they were still not happy, which made sense. If you take a look back at the game itself, it makes sense why they weren't happy with that game, and they shouldn't be. If it was my team, I still would not be happy. I would be like, we shouldn't have won that game. We should not have won that game. And if it wasn't for the defense playing the way they're playing, we wouldn't have won. Period. I'm going to be honest. Your defense will tire out. You cannot force that defense to play and keep those games close every single time. They got to go and get off the field. Go and get off the field. And if you're turning the ball over, 3 and out, you're going to tire them out. And I'm saying this because this defense is firing all cylinders right now. But if that continues on, by the playoff time, these people are going to be gassed. And then that defense is going to start giving up opportunities, giving up plays against really good, talented quarterbacks that will dice this defense up if they are not playing 100%. And they are not they are not on it, because you can blitz them all day long. I'm going to tell you this much. The Cowboys blitzed a lot in that game. They blitzed a lot. I don't know how many times they sacked the quarterback in that game, but they blitzed quite a bit. And they were, all out blitzes. Do that against the Packers. Right? Do it. I'd love to see it. Do it against Green Bay. Do it against Tampa. You think you're going to do that against Tampa? I don't think so. They'll get that ball out in 2 seconds, and by the time they can think about it, somebody's already downfield. They will destroy this defense if the defense continues to try to do that. I think here's the reason why they blitz. They got a great front seven. They got a great rushing crew, rushing defense, a defensive stop crew, and the linebackers of Micah Parsons and all these guys, right? I don't think their secondary is great.
Definitely not.
So what do they do to try to fix a problem on defense that is a problem? They blitz. That's their strength. They blitz. They blitz. Now, against Green Bay, that's not going to work. You think those secondaries are going to go up against Aaron Rodgers and not get schooled? I don't think so. You think when they go up against the Cardinals, that'll be a great looking game. I wonder how, if they all out blitz, how how the Cardinals are going to react to that. Are they going to get the ball out quicker or whatever? And I hope they do, because if the Cowboys, that's an exposing thing right there. If you are readable on defense, and I think they'll know that, they'll be like, oh, the Cowboys are just going to all out blitz on this play, all out blitz on this play, all out blitz on this play, because they don't trust their secondary. Well, let's just dice up their secondary. Throw up a pass because there's going to be somebody open. Throw it up, and that's it in game. And you're going to, at that point, that defense will give up so many points. There's no way Dak can come back from that. Dak is putting this team in a position to lose in the playoffs based on the play that he's doing. And if he cannot adjust to the game, like every quarterback has that is great in the NFL, maybe the question is, Dak isn't as great of a quarterback as we thought. Maybe he can only be good in certain situations. And that may be something we may need to come into account, because there are great quarterbacks that can adjust. Peyton Manning could adjust. Tom Brady can adjust. Even Brett Favre at times could adjust to situations. And then even Aaron Rodgers. Things like that. And you take a look at Drew Brees adjusted. These quarterbacks adjust to situations and go, okay, they're doing something different. What do we need to do differently on offense to account for that? And if Dak cannot, if he can only be good when they blitz him, that's a problem. And the running game, I'll say this much. As much as everyone likes Pollard, it's the O-line that makes Pollard great. Pollard's a great running back, but I don't think he's the best running back. I don't think he's the best running back in the NFL. I don't think he's this. Ezekiel Elliott is his fading off. It's fading off, guys. That contract was an absolute mistake. Brian's talked about it a number of times. It was a mistake to sign him to that big of a deal. It was a mistake to do that. I think we need to come to grips with the fact that maybe Zeke's time in the Dallas Cowboy organization as a top tier running back might be coming to an end this season or maybe next. It's just not. He's not producing like he was. Chalk it up to the O-line. I don't know.
Well, they definitely have O-line issues. They look. They definitely have O-line issues. There's a lot of times where Pollard looks better than Zeke. Zeke's actually looked better this year than he has the last couple, but it's still not worth that contract. Like we talked about, this contract that they gave him is, and it just started last year, Jeff. It's not good. They're talking about all the free agents, all the players that that are going to be, that could possibly leave Dallas next year. You look at them talking about them. I heard a rumor that they're going to be releasing DeMarcus Lawrence at the end of the year, probably because he gets paid a lot of money and he doesn't get a lot of sacks. He is a good player on defense, and he blocks that run really good, and he gets some pressure a little bit, but he doesn't come up with those numbers that you would want for his contract. Going back to Dak Prescott, Jeff, and he's got to adjust. And if he can't adjust in the middle of a season, and he, because look, he'll have all off season to have time to adjust to that, right? But if you can't adjust during the middle of the season, I don't care who you are out there out there in the wide receiver crew for Dallas, because they are fantastic. If your quarterback can't get you the ball and he's not making the right reads, you're going to have an issue,
right?
And that's just in a discussion here as far as that goes. That's just common sense. Now, I don't know if it's a slump. I don't know what it is. Maybe Dak will come in the next 4 games and just kind of light up and go, okay, well, let's see what happens. Dallas, we'll see if they're going to be contenders and they're going to win their division. They have an easy division. They have the only game they play left that they might lose. Well, it's the Cardinals. Other than that, they play their division. So even the Eagles might beat them. The Eagles, it's kind of like the Minnesota and Green Bay. They play them tough. We'll see. You never know. But coming playoff time, if Dak Prescott cannot adjust to zone defenses and not blitzing, then the Cowboys are not going to beat the Rams. They're not going to beat the Cardinals. They're not going to beat the Packers. They're not going to beat Tampa Bay. And like I was telling my buddy Ryan Sims, he's saying that this front four is good enough to get them to a championship with average offense. That's just not true.
I don't think so. I don't think so either. Because I don't think that secondary is the problem. That secondary isn't great, guys.
It's not great.
Like,
Their guys, the guy Diggs is a ball hawk, right? Ball hawks are great. He's not a shutdown corner. He's given up the most yards against them in the NFL. He will be really good in a couple years, I think, and he might turn into a shutdown corner. But the secondary on the defense is not good. Their linebacking crew is not that great, Jeff. It's only Micah Parsons who's a freaking beast. Don't get me wrong, he's a beast. That front line there defensively is really good, and Micah Parsons getting to the quarterback is fantastic. But are you going to do that to Tom Brady against the offensive line?
they're going to adjust it. I'm telling you right now, they're going to adjust to Micah Parsons. They are not going to leave that person, one person blocking Micah Parsons. They will double team Micah Parsons. They will do exactly what teams, once Von Miller got real big, they're going to do what they did to Von Miller. And once they started double team Von Miller, his sack total went down in half.
Yeah, they're gonna have to leave a running back in there to help block for
Right.
him blitzing up the middle, stuff
Right.
like that. The good teams will adjust. Green Bay's offensive lines have beat up a little bit. We're on track to get Bakhtiari back. Our offensive line will get better. So, and Tom Brady gets the ball out of his hand in 2 seconds.
Mhm.
He makes those little throws down here, and then he takes the big shots when they're there. And I just don't think the front four is going to get the Cowboys to Super Bowl. I don't
No,
think so.
because if you take a look at so if you try
with Dak playing like the way he is.
Yeah, exactly. With Dak playing the way he is, if you take a look at the actual statistics here, and you look at a team like, let's say with the Broncos when we went to the Super Bowl 50-1, right? Our defense was one of the reasons we were there. Was it just because of Von Miller? No. Was he a catalyst to us winning? Sure. Who else did we have though? We had a stacked secondary. You couldn't throw against that team. You had Aqib Talib, you had Champ Bailey, you had all these guys that were just stacked, and you couldn't throw against them. So ultimately, if the Cowboys don't have a good secondary, and their secondary is not elite, Tom Brady's gonna just dice that up all day, and so is Aaron Rodgers, and so are possibly even the Rams. We're forgetting about the Rams.
They're looking better.
So I'm telling you right now, the Cowboys are in a very tough spot because Dak is not playing well. And if he can't adjust, that's a problem. If this continues next season, that's a problem. Maybe, just maybe, we may have been wrong about Dak. Maybe.
I'm not ready to say that yet.
I'm not ready to either. But if it continues next season, where else are you going to go? What's the other excuse? This is what I keep saying. I'm saying this right now. I'm tired of the excuses. Okay? Because you know what the excuse about Dak is right now? He's hurt. It's the calf. No. Stop it. Rodgers is playing injured. Rodgers has a broken toe. Okay? And he's still going out there and he's still dropping points on people. He's still able to connect with his players. He's still able to drive down fields, all that kind of stuff. And he's playing with a broken toe, with an injury.
Which he might still have to have surgery on.
Exactly. So I'm sitting there going, I'm sorry. The Dallas excuses is what I'm going to call this team. If I hear any more excuses about this team, there's something. Oh, it's the O-line. Oh, it's Zeke. Oh, Zeke is hurt. Oh, it's Dak's hurt. Oh, whatever. And it's just like, stop. Stop with the excuses. Just understand something's wrong here, and it's mechanical. It's not physical. It's mechanical. The dude threw a pass right at a defender. The defender was sitting in front of the receiver, and he threw it right at him like he didn't see him. You see it happen. A person watching could see that. So it's just Dak didn't see it.
He's definitely off. He's off. He's just missing
overthrowing, underthrowing. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on, but if this continues, Cowboy fans, you got a problem. You don't want to see this going on the rest of the season. And if it continues in the playoffs, I'll agree with Brian. You're out. One and done, out the door. And Cowboy fans are going to be burning jerseys like they do every season. And, here we go. So if it continues next season, now we got a bigger problem.
All right, Jeff. Well, speaking of problems here, DeAndre Hopkins is out for the rest of the regular season as he has a sprained knee. Um, this is huge, huge loss. Now, how will we see it affect this team? And that's one thing that I can give a compliment to Arizona is they've played well without key players. Their quarterback, they went 2-1. They played without DeAndre Hopkins before the season. They're still winning football games. He brings a lot. DeAndre Hopkins is by far the top 3 wide receiver in the NFL every single year, hands down. It's not even a question. They're hoping to have him back by playoffs. That's still up in the air. Look, Jeff, I've had a sprained knee before, and my gosh, it's hard to walk on it, let alone juke and make playoff or make football moves out there. I actually sprained it playing football, and yeah, it's painful, and it's not something you want to deal with. So I don't know how long the timetable is. Hopefully they get him back. Well, hopefully for Arizona fans, I don't care if he ever comes back this season, but but hopefully they get him back for the playoffs for Arizona. They've been a fun team to watch this year. Their defense is actually like top 5 so far. They're playing really well. The offense is looking good. They're top 10 in the NFL as well. So that's really good for them. But DeAndre Hopkins on the field, not on the field, is going to be an issue.
Yeah, this is a horrible news for Cardinals fans. But I will say this much: this team has gone through injuries and has actually risen up. And is this going to be another one of those times? That's why I put that in the description. Is this another one of those moments where this team capitalizes on an injury and rises up to the occasion? And I think they've done it to this point, and we cannot come to sit there and say, oh, well, this is going to be a different time. They're not going to actually do it this time. And I'll say it's possible that next man up kind of mentality in this situation is a possibility. I think maybe they have a couple of people that can rise up that nobody's talked about and take over that spot. Is this going to be a DeAndre Hopkins type player? I don't think so. You can't replace that kind of talent. But will this be okay? Good enough to at least get to make a little bit of noise? I think so. I think that this team is a lot better than they seem, and DeAndre Hopkins makes them better, obviously. But I think they'll be all right even without him. He definitely helps them a lot, and they'll have to do some tweaking and working around the offense to kind of account to that. But I do think that they can turn this around. The only difference there is DeAndre Hopkins. It's possible that maybe because some of these guys, they kind of can bounce back from injuries quickly. It seems, I don't know if it's just how the NFL medical teams work. I don't know. I've seen a couple players do that. It's not CeeDee Lamb, but the guy for the Broncos. Dang it. Name is losing my mind. What? It's a wide receiver.
Courtland Sutton?
No,
Jerry Jeudy?
Jerry Jeudy. So Jerry Jeudy, I thought was out for the season. He wasn't. He came back.
I thought he was too.
He came back 4 games later, and it was just like, oh, okay. So maybe by the playoff time, DeAndre Hopkins is back, and that's all. Honestly, that's really all the Cardinals could hope for. And that's what I think. It's possible that with a good enough rest, that maybe he may not be 100%. But even at 90% of DeAndre Hopkins, that's still good. That's still good.
And two things here. One is, do they need him right now?
Maybe not.
They're 10-3.
Maybe not.
More than likely going to win their division unless they have just a collapse here and the Rams keep winning.
Yeah.
There's no reason maybe to even risk bringing him back before playoffs.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. He's a big key. Second, Jeff, we talk about when we talk about these players, when we talk about the Cardinals, and losing players and continue to win, that's great coaching. That's having your team ready to play, put your players in the positions to win, and have them motivated to go out there and play and say, okay, I got to step up. And they talk about it's the next man up in mentality. You can talk about it all day, but you got to go out there and do it. So great coaching for the Arizona Cardinals, and Cliff Kingsbury could easily, one we didn't talk about, he could win Coach of the Year. Was he one of the ones who talked about when we talked about that?
I
I
think
know it's
so.
Bill
Yeah.
Belichick.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It
it was
was.
Cliff Kingsbury. Okay,
Mhm.
my bad. But that's one that could win because of what he's done. When other teams and other fan bases make excuses for losing players, this team has stepped up and played better, and they've won games. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
um,
don't think that's changing with just DeAndre Hopkins being out. I think this team's still going to be. They don't need him right now. That's the thing. Sit him out, let him rest, and then unleash him in the playoffs. And that's kind of what I would do.
exactly. All right, Jeff. Well, we're going to focus our last two headlines over on the NBA. We have two different headlines here. One, this happened last week, I believe. Steph Curry this last week passed Ray Allen for the most 3-pointers made in NBA history. That's great for him. He has 2,974 3-pointers. That's a lot, and he's going to be blowing away this record because he's going to be playing for a lot more time. Excuse me, sorry. Although I personally do not like Steph Curry, it is hard to argue his greatness on the court. So fantastic for him. I don't like Steph Curry because the way he changed the game of shooting threes. He's the one that ultimately, him coming in, shooting so many threes. He helped change the way the NBA is now. I'm not a big fan of the way the NBA is now. I like the Shaquille O'Neal's, the down low play. But Steph Curry can sit there and say, I changed the game of basketball. And now everybody's shooting threes. You got big men out there shooting threes. And
The Joker.
Joker's out there shooting threes. Anthony Davis takes some threes. But Steph Curry is a fantastic basketball player. And right now, I think this season looks like to be the MVP. He's playing lights out. He's got his team playing well. And it's just a congratulations to him for overtaking Ray Allen. And he's going to blow that record out by a long shot.
He's still young. He's still young. He's still got so much more left to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's incredible. That's a tough stat to triumph and get to, and because because that's his game. I mean, he got to it faster than anybody thought, and so even with an injury, I mean, there was one point where he was out for almost a year with an injury. So even with that, he still got to this record. So it's incredible to see a player get to that point and see a history marker like that. It's rare. There's a lot of players, even Kobe. There was some records that he didn't get to. As great as he was, there's some records he didn't get to get to be top of. And it's kind of insane to think that he knocked off Ray Allen, and it's like, dang, man, that's crazy. Because I don't think anybody, honestly, at this point, I would be very surprised if anybody breaks Curry's record.
Oh yeah, I mean it'd be tough because Steph Curry, he's shooting threes from the half point marker and draining them. It's insane. All right, Jeff. Well, interesting. This is an interesting topic for us last year. The Luka and Rick Carlisle rumors, and then Rick Carlisle leaving, and all the stuff between Dallas and behind the scenes there in the Mavericks. And an article came out on December 15th about reasons why the Rick Carlisle and the Mavs fell apart. Now, here's a quote, and I didn't get the person's name, but it's a quote. It says, "It wasn't really about how Rick treated Luka." The quote was anonymous, but it says it's a Mavs player. It's how Luka hated how Rick treated other people, end quote. It goes on to say that Luka didn't like how Rick made Dennis Smith uncomfortable, and that he would pin Luka against his teammate and friend in Dennis Smith Jr. It's pretty interesting because the Mavericks drafted Dennis Smith Jr. and they thought he was going to be the future. Well, it turns out Rick and him didn't get along. Rick is not really good with young point guards. That's always been a thing with Rick Carlisle, and he's really hard on him. And they brought in Luka and Dennis Smith Jr. and Luka became really good friends. And apparently, it goes on to say that Rick Carlisle pinned Luka against Dennis. and how they painted this big picture there in Dallas about how Dennis and Luka was going to be the future. And the very next year, they trade Dennis Smith, Dennis Smith away in the blockbuster trade to get Porzingis. But so it wasn't really the connection from what this article's saying. It wasn't really how Luka was treated. It was how Carlisle treated others is what led Luka to not like him. And look, we talked about it last year. Is Rick Carlisle leaving? It's all Luka's decision.
Mm-hmm.
He is a star,
Mm-hmm.
and stars call their shots in the NBA more than anybody else in any other sport. And I guarantee you, Mark Cuban asked him, "Hey, what do you think about Rick Carlisle?" And the reports are that Rick Carlisle decided to step down, and this is more considered. It seems to me more like a hey, step down or situation. And pretty interesting article if you want to go look it up. But it's I'm surprised it took this long to come out. But yeah, that's kind of what did not sit well with Luka, and I don't think they really got along really well. So
I it's tough to hear that. I like Rick Carlisle. I thought he was a good coach. For a lot of years, he was it holds a special place in my heart because he was the coach of the Mavericks when they finally won and won that championship after that eluded them for so long. Obviously eluded the franchise for so long, and not only that, doing it against one of the top teams the NBA has ever seen. In the early 2010s of Miami and the three behemoths that they had in terms of LeBron James. I mean, you're talking about LeBron James playing in his prime. Ray Allen. Was it Ray Allen? No, not Ray Allen. It was LeBron James. It was Chris Bosh, and it was Dwayne Wade. And it's like all these guys were in their prime, absolutely in their prime, and that was a tough thing to do, is take down that team. That was that was more talented than the team that beat them, the Miami Heat team that beat them in the finals before. Honestly, that was they were even more dangerous than they were before that. So it was even of a tougher challenge for Dirk. So Rick Carlisle has a special place in my heart, but I don't like this story, and I don't like this news about Rick Carlisle and how he was behind the scenes, and I think that's a problem. I don't like it. I think that Luka is going to be at the forefront of his teammates, and that shows a character. That shows that he's there protecting his teammates no matter what. I like that. I could even have seen that kind of same strategy and that same personality trait with Kobe. And I think Kobe was also a person who would protect his teammates no matter what. And if coaches were trying to, cause trouble, riff or whatever, I think Kobe would have been the first one to be like, get out. You're not going to do that to my guys. So I think that's what's going on with Luka. He's going to be protecting his teammates, and that's it. And he's not going to allow a coach to come in there and put some riff in between people and cause more disruption in the locker room. I think he'll be the first one to go to Tom Cuban and say something, and I guarantee you that coach should be out of there. This is obviously Luka's team at this point. We know it now. It's confirmed now. We had suspicions it was, and it's confirmed. Our suspicions have been completely confirmed. It is Luka's Maverick team. He is the one in the helm of everything in terms of basically picking and choosing his coaching staff, or the coaching staff, and having a say so in the organization itself. So it makes more sense why he left. And I think, like I mentioned before, I also think it was a mutual departure. I don't think it was Rick Carlisle saying, I'm out, I'm done with working with this team. I think it was both parties saying, either going to walk out on your own accord or we're going to fire you. You need to pick. Yeah, walking out saves your face in the career as you go in future career endeavors. Firing makes it look bad. So you can pick, and I think that was Mark Cuban saying, hey, look, I like you. I'm going to give you some respect. Either you walk or we fire you, but either or is going to happen. You choose.
Yeah, you can't tell me, they say that, Luka, or they would say that Carlisle and Maz Carlos said, "Hey, I'm going to leave. I'm stepping down, whatever." It doesn't make any sense. Why, as a coach, would you leave a superstar, straight up
Right.
superstar, to go coach the Pacers? That just doesn't make any sense. So, it is interesting. It's been an interesting debate there, interesting topic last season. We had plenty of episodes on this and the Mavericks, and when the NFL kind of gets over, we'll jump more into basketball talk. But well, I don't want to go on too much of a little Dallas Maverick rant here, but we talked about it quite a bit, and it's interesting. Gave us a lot of content last year, so it's interesting when those articles come out. It's like, oh, another article came out, and I got to read this and see what else is spilled out there, because it's interesting. But Jeff, speaking of NBA, Anthony Davis is again hurt and injured. I don't know. He had MRI. This is totally off topic. Not off topic, but we didn't have anything planned. But last night, LeBron James pushed the defensive player right into Anthony Davis's knee. Pushed him. He fell right into Anthony Davis' knee. His knee bent sideways. It looked bad. Probably looks like a sprain. And the Lakers are continuing to struggle and look pathetic. I think Vogel needs to go. This team looks pathetic, Jeff. It does not look like a team that's going to compete for anything.
I keep hearing that. I don't. It's hard to believe it. They seem like they had a lot of pieces that were ready to go. I think there's a person that they're getting off of the D League. I don't remember who's it. Is
Isaiah Thomas?
Isaiah Thomas. Okay, so he's back.
He came back and had 7 points last night. So did LeBron and Anthony Davis. 7 points.
Something's off. I don't know what it is, and I guarantee you, probably before the end of the year, they're probably going to fire the coach. It's very possible. I can see that happening unless LeBron says otherwise.
Anthony Davis has looked pathetic. This team looks like they have no drive, no want to. It looks like Anthony Davis got his championship, and now he's just whatever. He is he is what makes his team go. I know everyone thinks it's LeBron. LeBron's 37. He's getting hurt. He's sitting out. Anthony Davis is the one who drives his team, and when he's not playing like he's hungry, it shows. He's been called out. Shaquille O'Neal called out Anthony Davis. Charles Barkley's called out Anthony Davis. Like, this is your team. Take it over. And we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it since they won a championship. But
yeah,
LeBron has been sitting out this year due to injury. There's been rumor to talk about a Westbrook trade already. Already. Rumors about trading Westbrook. I don't know how true that is, but I don't know. It's just it looks like
honestly, I think it's a coaching problem, and I think if they can fire the coach and get somebody else in there, I think it's very possible that they may turn this ship around. You got to get somebody in there to light some fire. That's all.
There's been some interesting teams this year. The Golden State Warriors are back. They're looking to get Klay Thompson. Rumor was back in January. You got the Bulls have been playing really well. You know, obviously the Nets have been playing great. They actually just announced that they are going to activate Kyrie Irving and will have him be a part-time player, which they should have done in the beginning of the year. I don't know why they're just doing it now. Okay. It's just I'm like, why did you wait till now to do it? I don't understand it. But breaking news a while ago is Kevin Durant has entered into COVID protocols for the NBA. So as COVID has actually depleted a bunch of the NFL teams and some of the NBA teams, there was last week, I believe it was last week, Chicago Bulls had 9 players on the COVID protocol. Well, man, how are they gonna play? Are they gonna have the water boy out there playing point guard?
Water sucks.
So as we see that come back and seems to be taking out some teams. So that's why the Browns and Raiders have been moved to Monday night. They changed the protocols there. They've gone back to stricter mask protocols in the NFL. And so, but let's go ahead and it's that time for a segment, Jeff, of what's in the locker here. I'm going to go ahead and start it since I've been talking here. My locker this week, just getting back into the work schedule. I still can't taste or smell anything because I had COVID. But other than that, I don't. I'm past the COVID part, but I just can't taste. I don't know when that's going to get back. I hear 3 weeks. I hear it could be months. I don't know, but I've been trying to take advantage of that, and I have been trying to eat healthier. I've been taking carrots and vegetables to work and celery, and I can't taste it, so I might as well. Before I'd have to dip them in ranch or something to eat them, but now I'm just eating them with nothing on them. So hopefully I can take advantage and lose some weight here because I get taste. But I've actually been playing MLB The Show lately. I don't know why I decided to jump back in MLB The Show. I got a playoffs going right now. Trying to get better at that, and then trying to figure out time to go look at Christmas lights. It's been busy. We've been busy with work, and my wife's working tonight. And we had a movie night the other night. We watched what was that movie? Ron's Gone Wrong. Now this is a funny movie. It's pretty funny. It's a good kids movie. Go watch it. It's out on stream. It came out on the 15th. We watched it last night. Actually, we took the kids to watch it in the movie theater a couple months ago, but the wife hadn't seen it, so we all sit down and watch it last night. It's a really good one. I've been watching. I've caught up all up on Yellowstone, so I'm waiting for the next episode to come out. Fantastic movie or fantastic show. But my major excitement and focus is the last 4 games of the season and that playoff push for the AFC and the NFC. Obviously, my team's in it, so that's been my major focus. And when I get my taste buds back, I got something else coming out as well, so that I'm working on, or that I'm going to start working on when I get back to tasting. When I get back to tasting, I will let you guys know what that is. But I'm going to start doing more on TikTok, guys. We have some segments in here that it's hard to fit because we're already at an hour and 20 minutes, and we took some segments out. So I'm going to drop those on TikTok, or maybe even Facebook, or YouTube, even on having little segments out. But look forward to that. But anyways, Jeff, that's what's in my locker this week, brother. What's in your locker?
Okay. This week, just kind of, work. And I did some interviews with a couple of companies, and I'm waiting to hear back from one in particular that I'm really excited about. And so I did a Zoom with them, and it was really, really awesome. So I should probably hear something maybe next week, possibly. And so that's exciting. Getting some more, playing around with some more tools, graphic design stuff, just kind of messing around with some new stuff that I haven't messed with before, video wise. And so, yeah, I been working on that. Actually finished up the front cover, or the cover for my wife's book. We got that out the door, and so that's now on I think that's actually on Amazon now. And if anybody wants to kind of take a look at that, it's called Crow Paths. So it's on Amazon right now, and you can purchase it. I think it's like I want to say it's maybe $10.99 or something like that. It's a big book, and so it's a redo that she's done and worked on for a long time. Very proud of that. And honestly, getting ready for this last push, even for the Broncos. I think the Broncos are kind of in a position where they can possibly sneak into playoffs. That would be exciting. I don't think anything's coming of it, obviously, but it would be exciting just for them to be there after a crazy last couple of seasons. Obviously, even now, so they're playing with a lot more heart and passion, I think, because of the Samarius Thomas situation, and I think that they really feel that they can make a big push here at the end. So that's exciting. Mavericks, I don't know what's going on there. It seems like their season's kind of up and down. Yeah, it's still early in the season. I know and even with the Lakers, I look at it and I'm like, it's still pretty early. So I think that they will turn it around at some point too. So I'm paying attention a little bit more to basketball. I've been playing a little bit more NBA Showtime with my wife on the 64. So that's been fun, and really just trying to chill out, relax. We're going to my mom's next week. I'm probably gonna make some stuff to go to my mom's, and I might even make some stuff for my work too. I'm not quite sure though. They might actually enjoy that, so I might do that. And yeah, just kind of ready for the holidays, ready to have some couple days off, work and relax, and even into the new year. It's just kind of like I'm ready to just start this next year and get this year out of the way and everything else. So I'm excited for new opportunities for myself, for my wife, um, getting on track and getting our lives, onto the next chapter. So, and I'm excited for the podcast, and I'm playing around with a couple of new things. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention as we've been going, but obviously there's a new look to the show. There's Brian even did that last week. There's a new look to the show, so it's exciting to play around with stuff and try things out and try new things out. And I really think that the look is working. So just excited to grow this. Brian's doing more stuff on the other ends, on the social ends and stuff. So yeah, that's what's in my locker, man. That's what's in my locker.
Awesome, man. Well, I hope the work opportunities work out. How did the interviews go for you this last week?
One of them, I was just on the phone. The other one was actually a second interview.
Oh, nice.
And it was on the phone. Well, I did one on the phone with a recruiter, and then I went and did a Zoom call with the art director, and it was super fun, super exciting. I was ecstatic because it was the first time I actually got that I'm getting like. I've never been called for a second one for graphic design yet. Granted, I haven't been doing a lot since, in terms of like actually posting resumes and stuff in a while. Really, I've only kind of ramped it up the last couple of weeks. So it's I hope I get it. Like that's the place. That's the place. Like that. And I'm not gonna name drop them because it's just I'm not gonna do that. But that the place I did the Zoom was the one where I'm like, that's where I want to be. Badly. That's where I really want to go. And so that's the opportunity I think would help me even more become a better graphic designer and stuff. So that one I'm really, really wanting so bad. So hopefully I get it. If not, I get it. Maybe there was somebody else that has better suited for it or whatever, and I get it. But it doesn't mean that I'll stop looking. So I will continue looking and continue pushing myself to land that job. So
awesome, man. Well, I hope it works out for you. And whenever if you do get it, you'll have to fill me in on what it is, what you're doing. But
yeah.
It's been a good week. It's been a pretty good week getting back into the schedule of work and everything. But other than that, man, that's about it, brother. Any other shows you're watching? I mean,
probably gonna watch some Witcher tonight. We're going to a friend's. One of the group, one of Ali's group members wants me to help him put the format together for his book. And I will, and so we're going over there to have dinner tonight, and then maybe even when we get home, we may watch a couple episodes of Witcher if we're not tired, or maybe watch it tomorrow. But yeah, that's one show that came up, and then next week is Matrix week. I am excited to watch Matrix. I will probably watch all three before I watch the last one.
That's what I want to do. I want to watch all three.
They're all on HBO, so I'm probably going to do that and watch all three of them, and then pick up on the last one that they just did. So I'm excited. It's kind of a hit or miss from what I've heard. People are either like it or they don't, which is fine by me. I don't care. It's the Matrix, and I get another movie, and I get to see crazy, insane stuff again. So yeah, that's in terms of shows and stuff. That's what's going on there. And
we've been trying to find a new show. I watched Yellowstone. The wife doesn't really watch it with me. We might have to try The Witcher. I haven't even watched it yet.
You got to go into it with the knowledge that it's not linear. So you're going to have breakup pieces, and then at the end you'll go, "Oh, okay." But it's not designed that. This next one is. This next one is like very A, B, C, D, E, going all the way to from 1 to 10, or whatever. So it's
Right.
but this one's kind of going. The first season's like 1, 4, 2, 3. Kind of it's kind of goes back and forth, but it's just a fun show to watch. And it's exciting because it's based off a game, and it actually is very much like the game. So it's one of the few game adaptations that is actually good. Hopefully the next one is Last of Us. And
Yeah.
which I think will be. But yeah, so
that and where I've heard fantastic things about the Spider-Man movie.
yeah.
It's at like a 99% or 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It'll probably it looks good. That's our next date night. We'll be watching that movie, but I don't know when that'll be.
My next trip to the theater will be Batman in February. So I will definitely
that comes out in February.
Oh yeah, I'm
going
IMAX
Uncharted.
to watch that.
February comes out. Uncharted
Yeah.
as well. So, all right, guys. Well, that was the episode this week. It's an hour and 30 minutes. We like to talk. What can we say? There's been a lot of information coming out here. You got a point there, Jeff?
I got to point to the top there.
Oh.
The corner there.
I thought that was hey, let me say something. No, yeah, we are. I like this new look that Jess put together. I think it's fantastic, and we will continue to use it. We've been working on more things as well. Like I said, if you look at the top of the screen, come follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and YouTube. We live stream all these episodes onto Facebook and onto YouTube. We cannot see the chat on Facebook on here, but if you do it on YouTube, we can. So if you want to chat with us on the show, you can jump on YouTube and chat with us on there, and it'll actually show up on our restream. Here's what the service we use. They are fantastic. We like them a lot. But come follow us, come like us, come share us, and we're just trying to, do something we love to do: share sports, share our lives, and get to know you and get to know us here a little bit.
Yeah, it's extremely good to kind of continue growing this and seeing that especially with your stuff on TikTok. Just I would definitely encourage anybody on there, submit questions, come on the show. If you submit a question, we'll talk about it. I will definitely insert it into a segment, and we will definitely bring up those, and we can even actually call out who your tag on there and say that you've submitted that question or whatever, and we're going to answer the question and talk about it. So yeah, I encourage that completely.
So all right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a great weekend. Get ready for Christmas next weekend. It's next Saturday, which is crazy to me. But hope Santa Claus comes. Hope you've been good boys and girls, and enjoy your weekend, guys. And we got football tonight and tomorrow. So,
all right, everyone, take care.
God bless.